trying to figure out where everybody's heads at. Uh, there's all kind of information out there that isn't true. There's information out there that is true. Uh, there's people out there who are purposely spreading the coronavirus, and there are people working night and day in every way possible to help stop the coronavirus. Uh, then you have the parents who, if they were listening, they wouldn't have had to panic. If they were listening long before, if they were listening when this was first mentioned in Wuhan, China, then they had to worry. But they weren't listening. Let me point this up. But they weren't listening. You know what I'm saying? They thought it was a joke, and some of that is because of the American president, who is the wrong person to be in charge right now. Uh, I'm not feeling the president in any shape, form, or fashion right now. I'm not I'm not a fan of his nonchalant and lackadaisical. Uh, what up, Paulo? I'm not a fan of the president's lackadaisical approach to the virus from day one. Uh, um, his advisors have been telling him things that he has, and he, to me, he's just that he didn't take it seriously. And now you have the body count going up, and now the most important city in America, uh, New York. I mean, New York is shut down. Last time we saw this, 9/11. Now there are all kind of people who are talking about how this is just another way for the rich to get richer. Listen, I'm not doubting that whatsoever. I don't even believe coronavirus is a natural, it's in its natural state. I believe the coronavirus was manufactured to be airborne. There are movies made about coronavirus. Digital currency, yeah. So digital currency is a thing. And we all knew digital currency was coming. I mean, if you take a good look at the people talking about digital currency and actually getting rich off of digital currency, what, some 5, 6 years ago? What up with you? What up with you? So we've been on digital currency. We've been aware of digital currency, but now they're trying to digital currency is going to be it's going to be mandated. It was already implemented, but now it's going to be mandated. I don't have a lot of information on digital currency. I didn't even bother to look it up, but like I said, we've been aware of digital currency, what it is, how it works. Heck, a lot of us are using some type of digital avenue to, I use Cash App, Vimo, and heck, we've been using PayPal for the longest. So to be able to transfer money online from one place to another, from one bank to another, was a big deal. Now, yeah, 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 for the mandatory for the vaccine. For one, okay, let's look at it. For one, the body count changes all the time. So I'm gonna go to a website that I've been looking at, corona.health. See if this is gonna pull this up. Come on, Google. All right, so corona.health tells me I matched the statistics with other sites, and they're pretty much on point. So when I look at it, I just want to know what's the death toll. It doesn't tell me the death toll in certain cities, but it tells me the total confirmed cases, which are 730,000. 5,152. There's total deaths, which are 33,222. Confirmed recoveries, 149,476. Cases confirmed just today, 41,440. Deaths today, 2,376. And recoveries confirmed today, 7,716. So, when this first came out, it was touted to be not as bad as the flu. The flu is supposed to have a death rate each year of 0.01%. The coronavirus ended up being 1%, which is a lot more. But now, when you start looking at these numbers, it first it jumped to 4, then at one time it jumped all the way to 10%. So, of course, when it hits heavily populated cities, and of course, now that it's all over the world and just getting worse, of course, the percentage is going to go up, but that can vary because there are more people also recovering from it. So, when we look at total deaths, like I said, you have 705,152, and then you have 33,222. So that is definitely not 1% of the death toll. 1% of the death toll would be 705,000. So we're at 33,000 out of 705 deaths. So okay, it's pretty doggone significant. You know what I mean? And if you're looking at just deaths confirmed today, according to this, which is corona.health, you'd be looking at 41,440. So then you would say, okay, well, what's 1% of that? It would be 401. Well, 400 and 414 deaths. Well, it's 7,716. So it's clearly not 1% like they kept saying. Oh, it's just 1%, and they kept selling this. Oh, it's not that bad. And the news and the goddamn news, and the news kept and the Fox freaking News they are the enemy of the people. They are the enemy of the people. The news kept putting this garbage out that it wasn't that serious. Don't take it that serious. I'm sorry, my nose is running. Don't take it that serious. And they could have quarantined us. They could have quarantined us a long time ago. They could have quarantined us when this thing was in Wuhan, China. Just think, this thing is in Wuhan, China. This thing is in China. There are more Asian people walking the planet than there are anyone else. Okay, this thing is in China, and it was in China right before the Chinese holiday hit, which means there are more people right now in that one area than there usually is all year. So what does that mean? It's going to spread quickly. Not only there, it's going to spread quickly to wherever those people migrate to. And if it has a 2-week latent stage, it could be all over the world before you knew it. And that's exactly what happened. Those people come from all over the world. And the Chinese people, it's not like they were the only race of people there for Chinese New Year's and Chinese holiday. Okay, there are other people who celebrate that with them. They date and are married to other people. So it's just ridiculous how the president and our government did not take this serious and just made it seem like it just was not a big deal. Right. Look, if you said it was in a place that was not heavily populated, if you said it was in the Amazon rainforest, you know what I'm saying? Biological welfare is more deadly than the coronavirus. Oh, well, yeah, for those who are fighting biological warfare, uh, yeah, absolutely. But I'm gonna tell you something about biological warfare as far as one country to another. Geneva has codes to pretty much abandon that. And I mean, you can look this up. What they did was, uh, what they did was they said anybody using this, people. For one, Geneva has a code for war, which is just ridiculous. If you come to kill my people, I'm using anything against you. But nonetheless, so they went around and told people, hey, you can't use this if we go to war. Biological, weapons are one of those things that people who were masters of them, and this is one reason why we're in Iran right now, is because of biological warfare. And there's a whole thing on that. So they took a lot of biological weapons, each country who had them and were widely ready to use them, and they dumped them in the water. And of course, when they dumped them in the water, corrosion happened, and now there's a big, you know, you have a lot of tanks at the bottom of some ocean and some sea, and it's just terrible now. So you can look all that up, but yeah, it is a thing. uh Anyways, back to what I was saying. They could have been stopped this. They didn't stop it. They didn't really care about it. And like I said, this is not the time for. Is North Korea still claiming that they have no cases? I don't know. I don't know. So let's do this. That is a damn good question. Let's do this. Let me just look up. Uh, and here's, what's the real kick-ass thing about North Korea? North Korea has very tight borders. They don't allow too many people in. So for them to say they don't have a lot of cases, I could see that. I could see that. Because they're, you know, not allowed, there are not a lot of people who can go in and or come out. So at this point, they're doing good. They're like, shoot, we ain't got no issues. I don't know about you. Y'all out there dying. But us, we don't allow nobody up in here that we don't want. And that's just that. Tone, we should not have assassinated the Iran leader because Iran is super smart. Oh, did we assassinate the Iran leader? Say it isn't so. We have always had trouble here and there with China. So what you think, Tone? Okay, you're asking me a military question, and I'm gonna get right to that. But let me answer. Let me get with Craig for a second here. But that is a very legit question. I'm gonna get back to that, and you have to understand when I answer this question, it's gonna be just a military way of thinking. I ain't been in the military in 30 years, but but no. It's a good question. But I'm just saying. I wish I had some military friends who are in now. You know what I'm saying? Like some military friends who got kids that are in now. Because I don't. And but let me. I want to try to give you my best on that. That's a good question. But I didn't know. I did not know we assassinated the Iran. All right. Okay. Okay. So North Korea coronavirus. North Korea is asking for aid while denying any coronavirus cases. So let me see if I can pull this up because three. Okay. So according to this, let me just skim through it real quick. All right. Let me turn this off. Okay, so basically it says North Korea's officials are reportedly asking for aid, but they claim that there are no deaths in North Korea. North Korea's officials have privately reached out to officials in other countries for unexpected aid. So that tells me there are deaths in North Korea. I'm just saying. That's what it tells me. There are deaths in North Korea. The government has tested kits for COVID-19 and they know how to use them but the number of kids are not sufficient. Hence, officials are requesting all organization. No, North Korea is not going to tell us if they have any deaths. They're just not, because that's how they are. Reported last week, the North Korean official had asked aid, masks, and tests, and kits, and such supplies are reportedly awaiting enter. Who are they asking aid? Are they asking the UN for aid? North Korea needed assistance, have asking with things are now on hold. One A group official formally with the efforts told. See, here's a bad thing about North Korea: you guys kill people. Based on outbreak, North Korea and the country medical system, the country remains under heavy sanction due to the ballistic missile program. Not enough medical. Yeah. See, North Korea is they've shot themselves in the foot because of because their aggressiveness. So they're good on one hand, but they're bad on the other. So the people who they're going to ask for help, if they ask the UN for help on a humanitarian level, they would have to help them, you know. But who they would usually go for help are their allies. But we are in Iran, and I'm gonna swing this right around to your question. I mean, we're in Iran, so we went there to do whatever, probably to take more of their oil. That's one of their allies. Another one of their allies, of course, is Russia. You know, right now we're not doing too good with Russia. We got a whole issue with them right now, and we've been, yeah, they're very isolated, and they did that to themselves on purpose. But when you're isolated, and now you're asking Trump messed everything up. Dennis Rodman was trying to do right. Dennis Rodman was actually trying to be an ambassador, and who knew that would happen? Russia got the weapons. Yeah, Russia got a lot of weapons, but let me tell you something. If us and Russia go at it, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be it's just going to be terrible because Russia has a lot of. Listen, Russia. Let me tell you something. Russia has airplanes. Like, see, they don't spend $30 million on an airplane. They don't. They don't. They just don't do that. Matter of fact, when you go and look at the way the Sukhoi and a lot of their stuff is built, it's built with the bare minimum. And the thing about that is, for one, they can build more, and for two, they're able to put uh, technology into their airplanes that it's not feasible for us to do. Like, they have an airplane that can pretty much reach the freaking stratosphere. This is an airplane. This is not a spaceship. This thing can fly higher than pretty much any airplane we got, and it's weaponized. Now we have an airplane that can, fly high, and it's not weaponized. This is the Blackbird. But you can start looking up a lot of the weapons that Russia has. They are serious business. And I mean, and I'm not, for Russia, but I personally don't have an issue with Russia. They never done anything to me. They don't hate black people. So I'm okay with them. I've met a lot of them. Heck, I'm business partners with one of them right now, and we get along just great. Free Ray Ricky Watt said that there is a cure for COVID in Cuba, and I think about the Cuban Missile Crisis involving in Russia. Yeah, that's way on the conspiracy tip. But listen, I think COVID-19. This is not a new thing. It's just a new strand. So yeah, I believe 100% that there's a cure out there. Heck, I was thinking last night while I was watching Avengers, I was like, why don't we use frequency? Why don't we use frequency waves to just to I mean, what I mean by that is everything on a cellular level has a frequency to it. Everybody knows this. If you use sound on certain things, that sound is going to uh, make certain cells break up, come together, make them move faster, make them slow down. So I was thinking, why don't we? I mean, we got this G5 thing going on. Why don't we just hook a healing frequency sound up to G5 and just blast it all over the world? Boom, coronavirus gone. Of course, I don't know what that frequency is, but everything has a frequency to it. Nonetheless, that's just me and my thinking. Like this. I mean, this can be fixed easily. But I'm not a scientist. As far as your question, and let me get to this. Tell me we should not. I didn't know we assassinated somebody in Iran, the Iran leader, because Iran has. Okay, so super smart, and we always have trouble with China. So, what do you think from okay? So, from a military perspective, from a military perspective, get me started on that. Right, on the number of 5G. Right. I know that's a soft spot for everybody. Everybody wants to talk about the 5G. Okay, so from a military perspective, for one, when you look at when I was in the military, we can just go back that far, 30 years ago. We went to war with the country that we were once allied with. You guys, hold on. My nose is running and I don't want to blow it while I'm on live. So just hold on a second. I'll be right back. All right, you guys, my bad. Okay, so from a military perspective, what do I think? All right, here we go. I was in the army. When I was in the army, as a matter of fact, right before I got out, we went to war. It was a declaration of war signed, and we rushed into war with a country that we were allies with. And the reason why we did that was not because Saddam Hussein was a threat to us. He was not a threat, he was our ally. We are king makers and king killers. That's what we are. That's what America is. We put people in power who will do what we want until we want something else and or someone else in the position of power. Gaddafi, another example. Yeah. Desert Storm. Desert Storm. So I did not cross the water, but my friends crossed the water. Um, and some of them did not come back. So there's that. Nonetheless, so when I look at that example, and I was really into what the military was doing then, because I was in the military. So I was like, why are we going to fight a country that's starving? A lot of those soldiers gave up because they were starving. It wasn't even a fight. It was pretty much just showing off. That's what it was. It was beating up on someone who is weaker than you, not a threat to you whatsoever, and they had a resource that you wanted, which was the oil and gold. They just did. Now, to not make the story so long, to answer so long, when I look at those examples, I look at why were we in Korea? Why were we, Ho Chi Minh Trail, Hamburger Hill? Why were we fighting all those battles? Normandy and all those things. The only battle that I can understand that we got into is when Hitler was trying to take over the world. I understood why we wanted to stop Hitler from taking over the world. I understood that 100%. But I don't understand all the other wars that we have been into and millions of people have lost their lives for. To me, messing with Iran is the same as messing with Saddam Hussein. It's the same thing. You're picking on a country that you told that they don't need nuclear weapons. So They disbanded their nuclear weapons or whatever, but you knew that they had uranium. You knew that they had a potential to make nuclear weapons, but you're telling them that they can't have nuclear weapons because they are so-called radical in their beliefs. Jihad and in terrorism and all this. But nonetheless, it is a known fact that the Americans and the Europeans have slaughtered way more people than they have. It is a known fact that our army have slaughtered multiples of million people that had nothing to do with anything. They saw something that they wanted and they went and took it by force. And so when you start talking about terrorism, it just seems to be. Uh, I'm not for terrorism, but I am for protecting yourself and protecting your country. It just seems like a country is fighting back for the wrong that's been done to them. That's what a lot of this seems to me. It seems to be a lot of back and forth that will just never stop. And it can stop. It can stop right now. Get out of their countries. Get out of Iran. Get out of Iraq. Get out of their countries. Get the Europeans, get them out of Africa. Get them out of there unless the Africans ask you to be there. Get the Dutch out of Africa. Get out of there. We don't want you. You're in the whole freaking continent of Africa, and a lot of those countries are asking you to leave. You run pretty much Nigeria. Okay, you've gone at it with the Nigeria president over and over and over again, but we know that the regimes that are set up in Nigeria, for one, are terrible. They're not even they're tribes. And we know that the elections are a freaking joke. We know this. We know that there's terrible slaughter that happens over there. We know the same thing with Mogadishu and all these other countries. We see just the anti-government in a lot of these places, and warlords actually take over, and Idi Amin and people like that. You have warlords take over, and then there's this massive slaughter. If you look at Hotel Rwanda, and you look at it's just massive slaughter because warlords take over and leadership is pretty much depleted. Well, you have the Europeans they're into that. There's a lot of that happens because of them. Why? Because they supply the weapons. And you can't blame everything on them because you got to have somebody to say, yeah, we'll do that. We'll go out and kill, innocent children and cut them up and, take babies and turn them over and take a knife to their back, cut out their heart from their back, pull the heart out, cut it up, and eat it and share it amongst each other. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Okay? It's real. Okay? It's very real. How do you even fathom to do something like that? What? And you didn't, and listen, they didn't do it because they were hungry. These Africans were doing it because they wanted to scare the opponent. This is the same thing that the Romans did to the Muslims and when they went to take back the holy city, and Saladin was in the holy city, talking about they were the original Jews. Okay, what they were doing was the villages that they were hit on their way to the holy city, they would kill the people in the village and eat them. Is the same damn thing, and it just seems to go over and it's just nonstop, thousands and thousands of years of the same damn war. And we don't need to be into these countries. We could stop this at any time, but the people who are driving the forces of war are the same people who are controlling the banks. And that's just it. And that's all. And that's why it doesn't stop. Because Bill Gates is not the richest man on earth. I mean, he's not even close. There are, and everybody knows the Bilderbergs and all these families, but it's just ridiculous what they do. We know that the Dutch went into Africa in that whole Hotel Rwanda thing. They were the ones who said that the tribes that are all one, they said, You're different from them, and the difference is your nose. So the Hutus and the Tutsis are two different tribes, and what the difference is your nose. The Dutch did that. The Dutch supplied the weapons. It's the same thing that who's that Dutch Leopold. Forgot what his name is. He went and killed 15 million Africans. It's the same damn thing over and over and over again, and it just isn't going to stop. I'm sorry, it's a long-winded question. But military-wise, look, it's just going to come to a fever pitch. Russia is nothing to joke around with. They know how to live off of the bare minimum with no complaints. They know how to live in the freezing cold. They do this. Siberia is no joke. Okay, they live and thrive in these areas. They're no joke. And they've been, if you look at their history, the Scythian history, if you look at their history, they've been attacked on all sides for the longest time. These people are no joke. They are nothing to play with. And if they do get with North Korea, and being that we just provoked Iran, if they do get with North Korea, and they do get with Iran, and I think they have a couple of other allies, and they do decide to attack, listen, Japan's going to be hit first. That's just that. They don't even have to attack the U.S. They don't have to attack Australia, which they probably won't. They don't have to attack the U.S. They don't have to, even hit South America. They don't have to do any of that. Tony, I think they killed Nipsey Hussle because Nipsey Hussle was talking about cryptocurrency. Nipsey Hussle was a different kind of brother. Talking about cryptocurrency and how they value the dollar is going to, and they saw that some individuals were woke. Well, here's it. Well, before I get to that, you know what? I can just get right to that. For one, Askanome, better known as Nipsey. Askanome, I mean, you see where he grew up on Slauson, in L.A., when you go and you look at the history of L.A., when you start looking at the Crips and Bloods, the Crips and Bloods did not start off as a gang of violence. They didn't. They started off as a gang to help their neighborhoods. That's what they were doing. And then it turned into, of course, the music that even the Jewish people admitted this. This is why Sony and all those people, they're dangerous. When they knocked off Michael Jackson, you could see how dangerous it was. They knocked off Prince too, because Prince was talking about keeping his royalties. They knocked him right off. Michael Jackson did the same thing. He was talking about keeping his royalties and ownership. He owned the rights to the Beatles. They knocked off Michael Jackson. You see what happened to Whitney Houston? They knocked her off. And what happened to Whitney Houston's daughter? They knocked her off too. Listen, these people in music are no joke, and they control the system. They do. And that music, that divisive, evil, devil-worshiping music, talking about killing everyone in your neighborhood, just going out and just shooting people just because they have a different color on, that didn't come from us. That didn't come from us. This is the same thing that happened in Rwanda. This is the same thing that the Dutch had promoted. It's the same thing that those people who control the diamond mines, De Beers, those are Dutch people. It's the same thing that they did. It's the same thing they did 100 and so years ago. It's the same damn thing. They go and manipulate you through music, and then they give you weapons. Listen, there's a man in Chicago where I saw a couple years ago, the man in Chicago, he said, listen, all these guns on the street in Chicago, they didn't come from us. He said, we will just be walking down the street, and there would just be a bunch of guns just set right there, like in a crate, just a bunch of guns right there. Listen, if you don't have a villain, you won't have a hero. They were like, the police are the ones who put these guns in the street. And I believe that 100%. Now, just imagine if all of a sudden, all of a sudden, every black neighborhood, every black crime infested neighborhood, because there are actually some black neighborhoods that are not crime infested, every black crime infested neighborhood stopped. It was like, you know what? We're done. We're done with this. We're not shooting anybody. And all the fear of being shot by somebody black just left all at once. We're done. I'm not shooting nobody else. Anytime you've seen somebody who promoted this and pushed this and had some type of success doing this, they got knocked off. Something happened to them. You even had people who went after the police, which I do not suggest because you're not going to win that war. They got knocked off. But when you hear anybody who talks like that and they have a driving force, they have a lot of people who are agreeing, we're not doing this anymore. And I don't mean like a lot of people like, 10, 20. I mean, when you get thousands of people like, we're done. We're not doing this. We're cleaning up this neighborhood. They're going to take that leader and they're going to kill that leader. And it's happened over and over and over. And Nipsey Hussle is a prime example of that. Dr. Boyce Watkins talked about stock market on the crash again with an even slower recovery. Well, thank you. I don't know much about the stock market. I started to get into it. My dad is into it. He's made good money. He made and lost money on the stock market. I started to get into it because I had some interest in it. But, the stock market kind of turned me off because, for one, 9/11. 9/11 woke me up to a lot of what the stock market does. It woke me up to what a lot of private industry is doing too. And a lot of these industries that we hold dear and we hold in high regard, like Red Cross, they were ripping people off after 9/11. They were taking thousands and thousands and millions of people's donations off. And where I live, Governor Taft, way back in 99, stole $20 million and got a slap on the wrist. I mean, so look, I'm not saying the stock market is a bad thing. I'm saying that you have no control. I watch a lot of American Greed. And I mean, I stream it. Like I watch it over and over and over. And Bernie Madoff, Bernie Madoff was, he's a confidence man. But Bernie Madoff he was smart, but he didn't do something that nobody else had done. That's your show. Yeah. Bernie Madoff didn't do something nobody had done, or the term, I got you the first time, bro. The term confidence man came from, long before him. And that's what Bernie Madoff was. He was a confidence man. And there are people who do this all the time. You have the Alan Stanfield. He was a confidence man. And he was a billionaire confidence man doing the same thing. He'll never get out of jail. But when I look into how these men and women, who's that? Rita, I forgot what her name was. But how these men and women are able to do this, a lot of it is because of greed. It's not Alan Stanfield who was greedy. It was the people who were giving him money thinking that they were going to make money. They're the greedy jokers. When you think that you're going to get, when you look at the bank system, at one time the bank was giving what was it, 6%? 6% returns on your savings. Save your money here. Get, 6% of it, more at the end of the year. So people were like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and save my money. Then you got CDs. I don't know what the rate was for CDs, annuities and all those other, life insurance and all those other ways to save money and, and then get a high return is 401k and PERS and all of those things, and to get a whole high return, some of those things actually work. I mean, when you have your PERS savings, and when your employer matches your PERS, I don't know all about PERS, so somebody gets on here, that's not true. Fine, let us know how it really goes. But when you get an employer to match your savings, yeah, go for that. You're going to be there for years. Go for that. You put in $100, they eventually put in $100 over a period of time. Boom, you come out, you have the savings of 150,000, and you're retired. Okay, you can live on that. Understood. But a lot of those systems mess with the stock market. Here's the problem. You're not in control of none of that. You're not. All you're doing is working. You're going to work every day. You're putting your money into the system, and you're not physically doing it. They're taking it right out of your check. So you're not even worried about it. You're not looking at that every day and going, I wonder how much I have in PERS. You're not. You've been working at the same job for 10 years. You're not going, how much do I have in PERS every day? You're not going, who took this money? Once the bank gets this money, where are they investing at? You're not asking the bank those questions. You're not. You're not saying, where's this money going? Look, I've been working here for 10 years. I put, $30,000, we'll just say a number, into the bank. What did you do with it? Bank of America. What did you do with my $30,000? I want to know. So we blacks had our own bank until it was burned down. Yeah, you're talking about Black Wall Street in Oklahoma. Yeah, right. You know why it was burned down? A white woman. A lie from a white woman. Yeah. Black Wall Street was a thing. One lie. And the whites went crazy. Killed like 3,000 people. But you're not in control of the stock market. And every time I look at American greed, it has something to do with the stock market. You're not in control. And that bothers me. That makes me want to keep some money buried in my yard or something like that. It just does. I don't even have a yard. But it just makes me want to bury money somewhere. In the proverbial burying money would be to own something that you can trade. And that's where we're at now. If the regular common currency, this dollar, the value of this dollar, when I was in the military, this dollar was pitted against the German mark just before they had the euros over there, just before the euro was everywhere. The German mark. Boosie said, keep a bankroll. Yeah. Right. Don't put all your... Boosie is correct. So, this dollar, every day, we get up, we go on about our way. There was a big sign, and the big numbers, these big numbers, and they would say what the mark rate is, and it would say what the dollar value is. We got paid in dollars. We didn't get paid in marks. This is when I lived in Germany. So on the base, we get up, we go, everybody asks the question, what's the mark rate? Especially during the weekends, because people wanted to travel. So they go, what's the mark rate? So the mark was always valued more than the dollar. So you knew, so if it was 7 cents, 20 cents, 50 cents more, you knew if you had a dollar, you traded in, you were going to get a mark 50. So you were about 50, however that goes, which means you can go out on the economy and buy something. It's cheaper, to do that. So the dollar to me, ever since, looking at that, the dollar to me has never been the strongest way of currency. So this cryptocurrency, this sliding in the door, it's just no surprise to me. And then when you look at, right, never. And then when you look at trade itself, I was always like, Why don't I do what my mother used to do? Okay, so we were very, poor. Roach ratchets, all that. We had infested roaches and all that. We were very poor. So and we lived in an apartment, of like 44 apartments, all stacked on 7 floors. So whenever one of us would run out of something, right, whenever one of us would run out of something, you know what we did? We'd go and ask our neighbor for it. And the neighbor would in turn ask us for something. So we had a bartering system among the poor people. You know what I'm saying? That kept us fed. Ask Miss Hattie if she has 3 eggs. Miss Hattie wants to know if you have some sugar. We got sugar. You got some eggs? Boom. Trade was made. You know what I'm saying? Trade was made. And that's how you survived. Because we were all on welfare. And we were all out there trying to get our hustle on one kind of way or another. My mother was a jitney, which means she was an Uber driver. Yeah, my mother was an Uber driver, was what they call it today, but back then it was called a jitney. So when uh, Mr. Wilson needed a ride to go somewhere or to get to work or something, my mom had a working, car and be like, $2, $3, cover my gas and a loaf of bread and a pack of chicken. I got you, Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson was game. Boom. He got to where he needed to go. My mom got some gas, brought some chicken home. Everybody ate. We did good. That's just how it went. You know what I'm saying? Because we was all hungry, but we was all hustlers. So that's just how. So when you look at that system right there, that original system that the Indians had, because the Indians weren't trading in coin, they were trading in efforts. They were trading in what they just pretty much what they had, whether it was domestic animals to wheat, all the way up to sons and daughters. It's called the dowry. Look it up. You got a daughter you want to marry into this family, you would go to the male. You go to the male, usually some, 35-year-old, and be like, I want you to marry my daughter who's just now coming of age, meaning she can have children. That's what coming of age is to them. So he would go yes or no. Sometimes he would say no, and the reason why he would say no because he already had too many females. So he'd be like, nah, I got 3 wives and they got 3 daughters. So no, not unless, and then sometimes he would go yes, because he would marry into the family because he wanted what you had. You have a bunch of livestock. He's got a bunch of wheat or whatever that the Indians had, corn and stuff like that. So he just like, I know that if I can marry up into your family, then it would be a lot easier for me to feed my family. In vice versa. So that's why a lot of daughters and sons were traded. Well, mostly daughters. The sons were kept because they could work the fields. So that whole thing. But so everything was traded. The Indians traded everything. They were very smart people, but they lived off of the land. All these high buildings and stuff that we got, the Indians would have never done this because they know it kills the planet. They're not with it. So for us to go back to a bartering system, you see a lot of these movies, a lot of these shows, where they going back to the, bartering system. I'm actually with that 100%. For one, a lot of our health problems stopped because we would be a lot more active. You go back to hunting and gathering, if you're sitting on your ass, you're going to die. And that's just it. A man that doesn't work will not eat. That's just it. If you don't marry into strong families, then you're going to die. That's just it. You're going to get taken over. Your village is going to get taken over. And that's what a lot of people went through that. Their village would come and just get taken over by a bunch of hoplites or something like that. And that would be it. And your children would go into slavery and the parents would all disappear. They would all die. So unless you were protected by a very large family, you married into that family and or you worked with or for that family, you didn't necessarily have to be slaves, but you could work with that family, then you had protection. Then whoever came along knew damn better. If they bothered, you, then they're going to have a whole, 5,000, 6,000 people at their, door, and that's just not the noise that they wanted. So going back to that, yeah, 100%. But I'm gonna tell you what happened. If we went back to a barter system, you see a lot of people drop like flies because they don't have no skills. They don't have no survival skills. None. They can't make anything. The new generation can't make anything. They can't. They can't fix anything. They can't make anything. They don't cook. They don't clean. They think everything should be handed to them. They can't make nothing. They're not going to hunt or run anything down. Yeah. And their activity is the cure for a lot of our ills. It is. Hold on a second. I have asthma. I'm having problems with it today. Why? Because I'm not as active. I'm not as active as I should be. When you're not as active, then you take a risk of all kind of diseases can creep in and just get in your system. You know, cardio, yeah. Well, I can't swim now, but yeah, I was swimming because my knees, it's low impact, so it's a little rough on the shoulders, but if you just take your time, but it's really hard on the lungs. So for somebody who has asthma, it's a it's hard on your lungs. As soon as you get into that water, you're so if you don't take your time, you're gonna be in trouble. But if you take your time, you're okay. So it took me a couple months to be able to do 6 laps straight. And at the end of that 6 laps, I was gasping for air. So I know my lung capacity is nowhere near what it used to be. It's not even close. Not even close. I mean, I used to run around this whole block and run the whole thing with at a decent pace. I couldn't even get 100 yards without thinking that I'm about to, go see Jesus. It's real. It is real. So, but I got some knee issues and I've been trying to figure out a way to get around those because I don't mind. Listen, I don't mind being a big dude, but what I mind is not being able to breathe. Yeah, I mind not being able to breathe, but I've been eating healthier lately. You know what I'm saying? Not as much meat. Yeah, I'm gonna start doing some shadow boxing. And the thing about my little regimen is, I yeah, my little regimen. I gotta, I deal with refrigerators and stoves. So a lot of time I come home, I be tired. You know, uh, like today, I gotta go over to this lady's house. I sold her a stove, right? Really nice stove, and turns out that the heating element, not the heating element, but the panel, you know, doesn't light up. So I was like, look, I'll just give you your money back. Which would have been easier for me actually. She was like, no, I want to keep it. I want you to come over here and fix it. Right, it's a good workout, but it'll make you not want to do anything. I'm single, so I ain't got no wife to cook for me or nothing. So when I come home, if I got like 2 deliveries in a day, I'm shot for 2 days. I don't feel like doing nothing because I haven't eaten right, so my energy is low. And that right there is a killer. So I have to wait like a good, I have to do like a good 2 or 3 days before I even feel like doing anything. So a lot of times I'm just chilling on my computer, and that's cool. That's cool with me. I've slowed down a lot. I've slowed down because if you don't eat right and you're trying to pick up refrigerators, you're trying to move them, you can hurt yourself. So I slowed down. I said, I'm just gonna slow this whole thing down and just take my time, and that's what I do. So I just take my time, and but I like what I do because it's my thing. Nobody tells me anything. Nobody is in control of it but me. I do what I want, when I want, however I want. And, if I need some help, I'll grab my neighbor and, one of these guys around here and say, hey, here's $5. Help me go do this. Well, I still do push-ups, you guys. Well, when I went into the military, for one, right. When I went into the military, I didn't go as, some overweight dude. I had an 8 pack. I was fast, strong because I was running all the time. I was running around my neighborhood. My sister would send me to the store and I would literally run to the store just to show off that I could run that far. I mean, I ran all the time. People just thought I was goofy. Like, why are you always running? I would just, because. I mean, I would even run to catch listen, when I was a kid, when I was 14, shredded, yeah, I was back then. When I was 14, I had this little girlfriend named Latrice, man. Little dark skinned thing, girl, man. Woo! But I always wanted to show off in front of her because Latrice was a speedster. She was quick. Her and Bodie, man, they could both run faster than me. Everybody could run faster than me. But nonetheless, I was a middle distance runner, so I didn't have that burst of speed everybody had. But I was so infatuated by Latrice, and she knew she had me in the palm of her hand. She lived about a mile from us, maybe a little less. But what I would do to show off is I would run from my house to her house just to catch the bus that would pass right in front of my house. And every day I woke up, the double Dutch bus was playing, and I knew it was time to get up. I was like, it's 7 o'clock. In about 15 minutes, that bus is gonna be here. That bus would be there. I lived on the 4th floor. I would look out. Yeah, it was crazy. I would look out the door, and everybody would be getting on that bus. And as soon as that bus took off, I hit the stairs. 4 flights of stairs. Bam, 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 bam. That bus at the corner, I cut across the yard. Made a diagonal. The steel mill was right there. When I bus hit the steel mill, I was coming across the yard, hit the street, make the right, boom, hit the curve, hit the red light, boom, straight up to the next red light. The bus was getting ready to go and make its roundabout. I was cutting across the tracks. I did it just to show off for her. But it stuck with me. It stuck with me. I just ran everywhere. And I was like that all the way up until about about 6 or 7 years ago. I just ran. So when I was in the military, I would get upset because we wasn't exercising enough. Well, gonna tell you something. When I was in high school, okay, so I played defense and offense in high school. I was just okay, you know. But I broke a high school record for most consecutive hits in a game because they put me at nose guard for one game, and I just went in there and, you know, I was good at faking the other guy out. Well, that game not only got me a record, but it also got me a letter to Penn State back when Joe Pa was doing his thing, and the Slippery Rock. But when I saw that letter, I was thinking about how much I did not want to get hit anymore, and uh, my dad is in the military, my sister, my brother. I ended up going into the military. My brother, he ended up going into the military at the same time. Well, he was in before I was. But yeah, I ended up going into the military. So could I have played football? Yeah. Could I have went professional? I don't know. But I do know that, I could have definitely went to college and played. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to. I didn't want to get hit. Those guys are huge and they're very powerful. And I got hit by Ryan Chismar
Some
once,
people have
and that was
talent,
it for me.
some have emotional supporting,
That was it for me.
others
I realized that this is not something I want to keep doing because he rung my bell, and I hit this guy. He was like 3 feet from me, right off the line, bam, and my whole head was ringing. So I was like, nah, I don't want to keep doing this. And that's when I was in the eighth grade. So I played all the way up into the 12th grade. I was just okay, and then that was it for me. I could have used it as a vehicle, though. I could have definitely used football as a vehicle. But what I ended up doing was, yeah, I waited a year out of high school. I was poor as heck. I worked for I worked for Giant Eagle. They fired me. Giant Eagle fired me, and then I worked for a company that made welding rods, and then they went out of business. Breaking news: boxer Anthony Yards. Damn. Good Lord. Well, Madonna said it right. She said coronavirus is the great equalizer. She was not playing. She's like, it doesn't matter who you are. It is the great. It hits poor people, rich people, white, black, Indian, Mexican. It doesn't matter. Coronavirus gets everyone. Yeah, coronavirus gets everyone. She was right. It's the great equalizer. And it is. Those people who are hiding in their little huts, you know, little safe houses, the rich folks. Oh, coronavirus. You know, they have. I mean, have you ever seen Doomsday Preppers? Have you ever seen that show on Netflix? There's some people who are obsessed. They're just waiting for anything to bust out. And I know a lot of these people have run to their little cubby holes. And one guy he spent $2 million on a whole complex in the middle of nowhere. You know, he even went as far as tainting 25% of his food just in case he does get overrun. He has a fortress for a family of five and his neighbor. I mean, they have a freaking fortress. It's like, bro, if coronavirus gets to you way out there because it's in the air, you're dead. And you know what? They still need oxygen. They still need oxygen. It is the great equalizer. You still need oxygen. Where you going? You know? I believe that some people are hiding in their bunkers. And I'm going to tell you something. When you hide in your bunkers with whoever you're in there with, you find very quickly that the person you're in there with could be your enemy. Very quickly. You know? I think a lot of the homeless people will survive more than some of the rich people. Well, right. If the Lord is your life, then you got nothing to fear. But I was looking at this homeless guy who's walking down the street with a backpack and everything, and I'm like, that guy will probably survive before, a lot of these millionaire billionaires, because he's already at rock bottom. He knows where to get food. He knows where to get water. He's fully aware of the land, and his body is acclimated to it. His muscles are already acclimated. His bloodstream, everything is already acclimated. He can go live in the wild, and he's already acclimated to it. You get somebody who's been living in a city for so long, and perfume this and special soaps that, and all this hoity-toity nonsense. You put them out in the middle of, BFE, and they're done. They're food. They went from the top of the food chain to the bottom, and as soon as they touch the ground, that's it. Something's going to come along and just kill them, because they don't know any better. They don't know how to hide. They don't know how to protect themselves. They don't know none of that. And the learning curve is steep for them, because other people have been taking care of them, because they think that, they're something other than human. It's crazy. So I told you guys when this first started, look, get your survival skills up. Castaway is some real stuff. I didn't bother to watch it because I didn't want to see in a Book of Eli. Now that's more me. I didn't want to watch Castaway. I could have. It just didn't interest me. Once you got the gist of what it was like, nah, I'm good. But now the Book of Eli is different. There's even another movie that was kind of like the Book of Eli with Viggo Mortensen in it. I like Viggo Mortensen. Where the world pretty much ended for some reason or another, and him and his son, I believe, were survivors. I forgot what movie it was. But you have a lot of movies that are like that, where you have very little people left on the planet, and the food is pretty much depleted. The animal life is gone because they killed the sky. And once you kill the sky, you kill the foliage. You kill the foliage, you kill the animals, and we're not far behind. Starvation is coming right up on us because we're land dwellers. Now if we were, people who lived off of the sea like we should, 90% of the ocean waters are not discovered. 90%. But yet we depend on the land so much. It's like, why do we not have cities in the water? Why are we not out in these oceans and, other than oil rigs, you know what I'm saying? Why are we not out there building cities and structures and some people would be like, because it's too unstable. Be like, we have all kind of science to help us with, tsunamis and tidal waves. You got frequencies that break up waves, and you have things that will dissipate a wave in a heartbeat. The only thing that I can see that we would have trouble with is underwater volcanoes. So you don't build in the Pacific Rim, the Ring of Fire. You don't build along there because those volcanoes are active, and every now and then they come up through the water. So you don't want no part of that. But nonetheless, we're building around Yellowstone Park. The doggone mouth of Yellowstone is 5 miles. It's one of the 5 super volcanoes. If that damn volcano goes, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I wish I was a smarter person. There has been a study that we have lost 60% of our wildlife on the earth now. I wish I was a smarter guy. I do. I wish I was a sciencey. I wish I was one of them science nerdy, just a smarty smarts. You know what I'm saying? One of the just brilliant smart dudes. Because I would have been out of here. Like, you guys are stupid. The pinnacle of life is Hollywood? What? I would have been gone. I would have look. I saw this one guy. He built a raft. Built a raft, right? And he built it out of plastic. Okay, and he built a home on top of the raft. And he put just a bunch of plastic, and then he put grass and all type of dirt on top of it, and pieced it together with wire. So he has this. Yeah. He has a well. He doesn't have an ark. He has a raft. So he has this raft that just floats. And it doesn't go out to like deep sea or nothing because he can still see the shore where he's at. But he lives on top and he just fishes. He's got compost, and all that other good stuff. And he fish and he's just as chill as he wants to be. I'm just like, you are that dude. I don't have the heart to do that, but like you're that guy. I saw another thing where this guy built he has not an RV, but he has a big old mobile home. He has a mobile home, one of the big boys, and it actually floats on water. And, he hits a button, that thing moves right on the water. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Do something. You know what I'm saying? Like, why aren't we using the water more? So it just surprises me that we don't live like we're afraid of an element that covers 70% of the planet. Like we're scared to death to live actually in the ocean. Why don't we live in the ocean? And, somebody might come out with currents and things along that. We got science for that. We got science for that. And, you can only go so far under the ocean. Who said you had to go 2 miles? Nobody said that you had to live in the what is that, the furthest place that we know of is 5 miles deep. It's the Marianas Trench. Nobody said go down there where you're gonna crack your whole skull just by the water pressure, or you don't have to live where the what is that, the it's a body of what, the Gulf Stream. Well, you got the Gulf Stream, which is the air, and then you have the forgot what the other stream that's under the water. Telling you're a trucker. Oh, okay, that's what's up. And we have permits to go to work now since we are shut down here in. Where is DFW? DFW. So we have to have permits to go to work now. Dallas. So wait a minute, let me understand this. You're a trucker. Dallas Fort Worth, got you. You're a trucker. You're working, right? So something's changed? Is there a different permit that you need? Like what changed? This doggone nose. I don't want to go over this lady's house with this nose. I might have to take an allergy pill because this is ridiculous. So you're saying something changed? Yeah, put me on. I like talking to you guys because you guys keep me up on all the stuff that I just don't even bother with because I don't care. Well, I think a lot of things are going to change as far as work is concerned. And I don't think after 3 months everything is gonna go back to normal. You listen, you can't shut down the whole world and then yes, the city of Dallas said you can't go anywhere unless Oh yeah, that's a quarantine. Yeah, they put you on. They put your city on lockdown. That's what happened. So, oh, okay. So now you need a permit to go to work. I see. I see. Oh, okay. You have to order your food online. What? Whoa, 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 whoa! Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Well, you can still go to the store. You can still go to the store, right? You can still go shopping. Oh, 300 of dead, or just 300 who are sick? Because if you're looking at 300 who are sick, you're probably looking at, I mean, if it's 1%, you're only looking at 3 people to die, which is still terrible. Because if that multiplied, then, but for one, it's not at 1%, it's over 1%. It's more like 11%. So if you just took 10%, and you start doing the math and you're in Dallas, it's a dub. Well, see, when you talk about ordering your food, remember we talked about this. We talked about how In-N-Out Birdie, you have to call in order. Well, yeah, that doesn't surprise me none. Heck, I wanted to go to Boston Market the other day. I drove past and saw the doggone thing closed. I'm like, man, how do I get some Boston Market? That used to be my staple. It felt like good home cooked food, especially after I had a couple deliveries. I'm tired. I'm not going to go home and cook. I'm like, man, let me buzz the tower at Boston Market. Not doing that. I bet they probably have the same thing delivered online. But yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me. You uh, have to call in. It's just safer. It's just safer. I would have done that too. We should have been done that actually. But yeah, it's just safer. Now, when they tell you can't go to the supermarket, huh? So you used to be able to carry your own cups in and fill them up and then pay for it and be out? I never even heard of that. That is allowed in the building I work. What is not allowed in your building? No cups? It's getting bad out there. Next thing you know, they're going to tell you can't go to the store. They're going to order your food. I told you guys that was coming. No visitors allowed at hospitals. Oh. Oh. That makes sense, though, but damn. They took off the rims on all basketball courts in NYC. What they do that? Those are just thieves. Those are just thieves. Yeah. Now I can understand no visitors, but how do you what if they're the ones who bring you to the hospital? It's just like, okay, we have them, now you have to leave. And but for people to come and visit you, that's hard. That's not, listen, I've been in the hospital times recently. I ain't have no visitors, so that's no big deal for me. But for the people who have these families and this huge social life just to be isolated like that. Listen, I was looking at the story where DJ Black and Mid and DJ in New Orleans passed away. What? DJ Black and Mid, a DJ in New Orleans, passed away from coronavirus. He was only 44. Jeez. You know what? I might shut down my whole shop. I might shut down shop. I just went over and like I got a house call today for this lady. And I think that might be it. Absolutely. 100%. You better. Shoot, I just might watch Bloodshot tonight. Just call it a dub. After I talk to this lady. Because I've been out doing, still doing my... Shoot, I'm going to tell you something. I done went out and made some great, like the one reason why I really want to take, for one, she's my customer, but one reason why I really want to take care of this lady, because I knew what she was going to do. I told somebody this the other day. I said, I sold this lady a stove, right? The stove doesn't work. She wants to keep the stove. I have to fix it, right? And I said, but this lady has a brand new house she built, went into debt. Everything in it is new. She went into debt, to get all this right. She's like, I'm in debt, yada, yada. And I was like, you got a plan. And, my item is, because she's like, I need to show it off. So she's like, that's why I really wanted this item, because I need to show off my house so somebody can buy it. And the area she's in is, these people are coming in building these houses in this area, which used to be a very poor area. And she did exactly what I thought she was going to do, because I wrote her yesterday. I said, you can have your money back, or I can put a replacement in there, or, I got a new one. You can pay me a couple more dollars and get this new one that I got. And she was like, thank you for being honest with me. A lot of people online are not honest, which is very true. She said, I'm going to go ahead and put you on my Facebook page with all the other realtors. You see what I mean? Like, I made a connect that, especially in that area, that I know that, look, I could go big off of some of these people that I'm being connected to, but I actually made my business smaller. Okay. What they don't realize is that people are on spring break from all over the country, and in Florida too. Yeah, but those people were told to stay home. James Dolan, my kid's owner, and Doris, NBA media reporter, have coronavirus. Let me tell you something. Anybody in sports, especially basketball, it wouldn't surprise me if every single team had coronavirus. Like, none of that surprises me. What would surprise me is if they started dying from it. But for them to have it, that don't surprise me. Everybody was touching the ball. Everybody's all piled up and touching each other. Don't surprise me not one bit. Not at all. Not one iota. I mean, it spreads by touching. So we're all touching the same ball. The rims, the seats, everything's infested. You got one guy who's touching everything on purpose. So it just doesn't surprise me. Reporters too, because they're all up in everybody's face trying to get the story. And as soon as somebody breathes on somebody else, lights out. Well, like I said, what would surprise me is if people started dying, the younger. So we had an 18-year-old die from it. Dead. 18. Dead. I mean, drink that in. Dead at 18. Even the spokesperson, Ducci or whatever his name is, with the president, he's like, don't believe all this. It's only for older people. He's like, younger people are getting it and dying. He didn't say dying, but when you start looking at the stats, you realize the only people that aren't dying that I know of are children. The only ones that aren't dying. But I'm highly susceptible because I have asthma. And it's flu season. So it's just, this is a bad deal for Old Town. Real bad. And it weakens you. Takes everything out of you. I would say the only chance that I would have is, just prayer. I don't know. I mean, people who have asthma and catch this, they're just, it's not even a contest. You know. One lady who had it, she didn't have asthma, but she had it. And she said, for those people who smoke, she's like, you better stop smoking because you're going to need your lungs. And they showed, and recently I saw where this one kid, I forgot, I think he was in Mexico, and he could have been no older than 20. He was laying on they had him at home pretty much, didn't have nowhere to take him. He had a mask on, and he was suffering so bad from the coronavirus that his breathing, his whole chest was heaving, just trying to get oxygen. And there's not a damn thing that they could do except watch this kid suffer. He couldn't get up, couldn't anything. He's just laying there, and you're just watching this kid just couldn't do anything about it. Now, I had an asthma attack when I was younger, right? I was 17. Now, what I did was, I have runner's induced asthma. So what I did, one day, I like to run a lot because running, you get that runner's high. Plus it just, I always dreamed about being fast, even though I wasn't. But I love to just go out and run. So one day, I went out and it was cold outside, but I didn't care. I thought I had some shield around me. And I started running as fast as I could. I just took off. I didn't warm up, did nothing. And it didn't take long before my lungs started to give in to asthma itself. And once those capillaries started reneging on me, my capacity went from full to half to a quarter real quick. And I was laid out on the ground. Just laid out. It happened so quick. Just boom. Once I was able to get home, I was rushed to the hospital and they had to stick a tube down my throat because I was on my way out of here. So when I see that kid breathing like that, I absolutely get it. I grew up, yeah, asthmatic, and I have almost died at least 8 times. Yep. I've almost died from asthma at least twice, but that time really stuck with me. And simply because I wanted to go out and just run as fast as I could, I had some imagination of being the Flash, something goofy in my head. You know how you are. And I went out and I was like, if I do this, I could run fast. And I ran, and it felt good for about 200 yards. Then my lungs just. And when I hit that wall, I was. Boom! I went right out. I was out, and people around me saw I was in trouble. And eventually, the ambulance got a hold of me, and I was just. I was at the mercy of whoever was around me. I had no ability to do any damn thing. So when I think about this coronavirus and how people are dying from it, I absolutely understand it. It's no contest. Once you go from full to half to a quarter to 10%, your heart rate hits the roof. I had a girlfriend who, back when I was 19, she's actually my fiance at one point. Basically, she was a big girl. You know what I'm saying? She was a big girl. I had a big girl. I had a big girl. All right, all right, all right. I had a girl. All right. Don't judge. You know what I'm saying? She's a big girl, and I was like, yo. She's like, let's get married, and I was like, cool. We can get married, but you have to start exercising. You know, and I love her. I loved her family. Still love her family, but she's a big girl. I was like, you got to. Like, I love you, but you got to start exercising. I said, because if we start having kids, I don't want to explain to my kids why their mother's not here anymore. I was like, you got to. You're just getting too big. Well, she came back with an answer that I didn't like. Because she was pretty, she thought if she became skinny, that all the guys would be all over her trying to get with her. And I didn't understand that. I'm like, you would be my wife. What are you talking about? Yeah, get skinny, not get skinny, but lose some weight, get better looking for your man. That's where I was at. Like, why are you worried about what other dudes think? They're not here with you now. I'm here with you. Yeah, I didn't like that. And I kept asking her, and I kept for like a year or so. Come on, let's go walking. I was like, I'll walk with you because I was a big runner then. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking about her dad wanted me to enter in the Penn relays. He thought I could enter the Penn relays and win, which I couldn't have. But he loved the fact that I could run. He was a track coach at the local high school, and he saw my speed, and he was just like, I could take you to Penn relays. I locked that door in the guest house and had an attack. My uncle, who was in the military, broke the door down and saved me. Damn right, uncle. Big ups to your uncle. Yeah, but she wasn't thick. She was fat. She was obese. I've had some thick girls in my life now. Shoot, love them. But this girl was obese. She was a big girl. She was coming up on, 340, 350. And eventually when she died, she had to be about 4 plus. And I knew it was bad. But I loved her. Still do. But I kept trying to convince her to walk. Let's go walking. They lived on a nice little hill. They still live on that same hill. I was like, let's hit this hill. I knew how to burn those calories because this is what I did. I knew how to get her right. You know what I'm saying? When I entered the military, man, I called her and I broke off the engagement because she didn't want to do what I wanted. And about 10 years later, she died just like I thought. She had an asthma attack, she had a heart attack, and died. She couldn't get any oxygen. And while she was living, she lived near my sister. My sister was like, She's so big that when she sits in the car, like you see the whole side of the car go down. And she had another guy who was engaged to her, eventually, and he broke up with her. He was like, nope. And then she died. And it still hurts today because I saw it coming when we were teenagers. I saw it coming. I was like, if she doesn't do something now, you're 18, you're 19. I was 19, she was 18. You're 18 and you're in danger. What's going to happen when you hit 25, 30? After you have kids, your body isn't just going to spring into some, you got kids, you're going to spend a lot of time with your kids, you're going to really slow down. And I saw that coming, and she didn't want to listen to me. She thought it was all about the social life. I was all about our life. And she passed away. My sister told me she died. I was hurt, but I wasn't surprised. I begged her. Like, come on, we gotta, you know what I'm saying? So I was investing. Some women refuse to work out, regardless of how much you try, right? Encouraging, right? And I was looking at her as an investment. For one, she has a great family. Love her family, love her dad. Her mom was one of the, because when I was dating her mom, I would go up and talk to her mom all the time, and she got like a bunch of sisters and brothers, and I was cool with all of them. And they even adopted a kid too. They were just a great family. Well, they still are. And it's so sad. And so I talked to her mom, and then, when the military guys started talking to me, I was at, her house, and I told her mother what was on my mind, and her mother said, well, you're not doing anything right now. You're just spinning your wheels. She's like, so, go ahead and go into the military. You still keep in touch with them online every now and then, but we don't talk like every day. And I just say hello to them on Instagram or something, but we don't have no conversation. And her mother was like, you're not doing anything. I said, okay. So I went into the military. I could have went to college or whatever. I went into the military. It just hurt so much to see her go out like that. And she was probably the prettiest girl in town. Like, I knew what I had. I knew it. She was sweet, church girl too. She wasn't with no other guy but me. Oh, I knew what I had. I knew it. I was going to wipe her. Let me tell you something. I was going to wipe her up and knock her up each year with fervor. Son, I knew exactly what I had because other people were ignoring her, and she was just like, what up with you? I was like, what up with you? Because I didn't want her at first, but then I started thinking, if you dropped, if I got you on the Kanye workout plan, you're actually better than the girl who just broke my heart, who I've been chasing around. Turned out to be a hoe and get raped in the alley twice. Literally. Went and got raped in the alley. And went back to the same club and got raped in the alley again. I was chasing the wrong chick. And the other girl was like, what's good? And I was just like, what, finally, what's good? Because this chick, she running after gangsters and, that's exactly what happened to her. So I knew what I had. I was like, man, if you drop that weight, you be in there like swimwear. So let me, put you on to something. But she kept telling me no. Finally, let me tell you something. When I got into the military, there ain't no fat girls in the military. Not at basic training. Not at basic training. It is a whole different breed of woman there. And I was looking like, I was in shock. I was like, What? And in basic training, because they know everybody is young and hot in the eyes. So what they would do was, instead of breaking the rules and going and talking to the girls, you ain't supposed to be doing that. But everybody, like there's some honeys over there, like, what's up? So what they would do is have us go up against each other and exercise. They would have some of their workouts right next to ours and encourage us to battle them in exercise. And you'd be thinking, I'm a dude. Like, what's this girl going to do? Let me tell you something. Women can do more sit-ups than men. More sit-ups. You may be able to knock them off in push-ups, but when it comes to sit-ups, their stomach area, for some reason, the flexibility within their stomach allows, maybe because they're missing a rib or something, but women can kill some sit-ups. I should come back at 50 and re-enlist. I cannot re-enlist. Let me tell you something. For one, here's what's interesting. I called about that. I called about that last year. No, 2 years ago, because I got my degree. And they said the cutoff age for re-enlisting is, I think, 35 now. 32 or something like that. It went up. Actually, he's like, it went up. It was 28. It would not surprise me if you were able-bodied, because they don't want a liability. If you were able-bodied and you were 40 and you had something the military had to offer, it wouldn't surprise me if they say, come on in, and probably not do some of the basic training stuff, like a special elderly unit, and, put you on a 3-year contract, because now a 4-year contract is mandatory, but put you on a 3-year contract just to see how that works out. It wouldn't surprise me if the military did that. Not at all. I mean, if I was in, head of operations somewhere and there were some very, very capable and viable 40-year-olds who does not have a bunch of medical program, I wouldn't take anybody who's trying to get a sex change. That's not happening. If you're gay, that's on you, but you cannot come in and try to get a sex change because we're not paying for that. I would definitely have them do PT test and all that, but all the screaming and stuff wouldn't happen. But the PT test, you definitely doing that. And it's mandatory every 2 years that you have to do a PT test. I'm going to tell you guys a story about that in a minute. But yeah, I would, definitely do that. But I wouldn't take nobody who's ridiculously overweight and all that. If you can't run 2 miles in a certain time that they have a scale for it, then no, you're not getting in here. You're not staying in. Because 2 years, 2 years I'm going to test you. Oh, you're 42? That's what's up. I'm 52. But in 2 years, we're going to test you every 2 years. And the minute you fail the PT test and we see that you can't, you're like, even if we test you 6 months from now, it's not going to happen. Like, you just been eating up all the ho-hos. No, it's a dub for you. You're getting kicked out. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. I had a guy named Porter. Porter was 40 years old. And what Porter did was Porter would go to work every day. This when I lived in Germany. I was 19. And Porter would go to work every day. He was an OG, right? Right. Now they're not going to do that because it costs so much to train you. It costs a lot of money to train you, plus you're holding a weapon that's $20,000. So they're not going to do that. Not at all. They're going to put you under a contract where they're going to get their money back. But anyway, so Porter, he was a cook like me. So, when I'm going to my shift in the afternoon, he don't work the morning shift. He's coming home and he looks like he hasn't worked at all. We would go to work and come home and have sauce all over us, be dirty. This dude would go to work and come back. He looked like he didn't even go to work. We like, are you coming back or going to work? He's like, I'm coming back from work. He's like, I don't get dirty. He was like, shoot, I don't get dirty. We're just like, okay. Then he would go to the barracks and go get a foam starter, a beer, and would go somewhere and sit out and drink his foam starter, or would stay in his room, watch TV, and drink his beer. That's it. Now, while we're all running around and exercising and doing all this, going to the gym and trying to impress some goofy chick who don't want us, this dude is drinking foam starters. Just so happens that our company was two lackadaisical in that area. We were in Canby Fritz, which is in Darmstadt, Germany, and we were 32nd ADCOM AAD. We were a missile defense unit. We had a 2-star on campus, on Canby Fritz. So, or they call it a concern, but it's a base. But nonetheless, so they were like, we want you guys to have a new captain. So we got this black captain, this big old, big boy. Came in and changed everything. He was like, for all of you, he's talking to the whole unit. He's like, for all of you, all of y'all is going to take a PT test. And if any of you fail the PT test, you're getting kicked out of the military. He called a meeting. We're all standing up there like, he's like, if any of you don't pass the PT test, you're getting kicked out. He came to all of our rooms, made us redo our rooms, throw away things that didn't hold up the spec. I mean, I was intimidated by this brother. He was like, what's that? I was like, it's my radio. He's like, well, this needs to change. And I was like, all right, whatever. You don't even salute him. He was an NCO. You don't salute him. I was like, all right, whatever. I agree. So Porter came to us like that night. He was like, yo, P. We was like, what's up? He's like, yo, I can't do a PT test. We were like, wait, what you mean? He's like, I can't do I can't do all the push-ups. I can't run those miles. He's like, I can't do none of that. We were like, well, wait a minute. How long have you been in the military? He's like, I've been in the military 10 years. So we're thinking this dude ain't got a lick of fat on him. But he didn't have a lick of muscle either. All he did was drink beer. And you would think he'd be this big dude. Nope. He's just one of those guys, he didn't drink a lot of beer. But he would take that one, slow drip it, and that was what he would do after work. That's it. He didn't study any tests so he can become an NCO because he was an E4. So he was a Spec 4, it was an E4. He didn't try to become a sergeant. He didn't do anything. He was an E4 for 10 years and didn't care about going any further. He was just living off of just being an E4. He did not give one damn about being a soldier. All he wanted to do was go to work and come home. But this is the U.S. military. You are a soldier before you're anything else. And that's exactly what they showed him. That dude got out there. He couldn't do any push-ups. He tried. He had no upper body strength whatsoever. And when they saw that he couldn't do even 10 good ones, they wrote that dude a letter, pretty much an Article 15, and were just like, you will now be kicked out of the military. And he was crying. He was like, I don't want to go home. We were like, where you from? He's like, Detroit. He's like, I don't want to go home. Ain't nothing on the block for me. And he's like, you absolutely right. Ain't nothing on the block, but you're out of here. You did this to yourself. We even asked you to exercise with us. He made a joke out of us. We're like, yo, we're going to the gym. Nah, P. I don't go to no gym, P. I'm good, P. Like, all right, Porter, you want to go running? Nah, P. I'm good, P. I don't no running, P. Your ass got kicked out of the military. Kicked a few people out that day. Like all of them, boom, get on the plane. You're out of here. We're getting ready to fly you 5 hours one way across the water. And that was it. We never seen Porter again. Never heard from him or nothing. I'm hoping he's doing all right. But that's a quick way to get kicked out of the military is not exercising. Not. And I almost felt sorry for him because I know how the hood is. But then again, you made a joke out of people who were trying to help you. And it cost you. Dude ain't had no girlfriend. Like he did nothing. He didn't chase honeys. He did nothing. That's it. I don't remember that one activity this guy did. Nothing. But he can cook a hell of an omelet. That was it. But if I went back into the military right now, for one, I wouldn't be able to run 2 miles. So that's a dub. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to backpack those 20 miles too for that basic training. If I did a 3-day bivouac, it would be hard. That whole thing would be hard for me. I just couldn't do it. Now, I could walk 2 miles. Shoot, I could walk more than that. I could walk the hell out of some 2 mile. I'll get you then, but to run it, I'd really have to work on that. And with my knees the way they are, if my knees wasn't hurting, yeah, I'd be able to do it, no problem. But even if I did get through all that, what I would probably do is I wouldn't be enlisted. I would go as an officer because I have a degree. So I would automatically sign up for some type of officers club, but I wouldn't be a non-commissioned officer, or not a non-commissioned officer. I wouldn't be a commissioned officer. I would be a warrant officer, and I'd go right back in the health field. I'd go into it wouldn't be food service though. I'd work in as an administrator of a hospital. You're a personal trainer, and I tell people that if they think I'm hardcore, go train with somebody. Oh, shoot. I'm going to tell you something, man. I knew about the Navy SEALs when I was in the military, but I didn't pay them any mind. But I would have liked to try to be a Navy SEAL. But I didn't want to spend a lot of time in the water. I bet you would. I didn't want to spend time traveling in the oceans and all that stuff. I didn't want to do that. But the way I worked out before I was in the Army, I was lifting good. You know what I'm saying? I was fast. And the one thing that I really had going for me was I was a good swimmer. You know what? I stopped eating meat for a couple days. I haven't had any. So, and I've gone 6 months plant-based too before. Lost weight doing it. Lost muscle too. But yeah, so if I went into the military, I would be a warrant officer. Oh yeah, plant-based. Yeah. But get your protein in there still. And a warrant officer sits right in between a commissioned and a non-commissioned officer. So a non-commissioned, well, there's no non-commissioned officer. It's just NCO. Well, I guess it's an officer, but it's non-commissioned officer is like a sergeant. A sergeant, a corporal, a sergeant major, first sergeant, sergeant of the army. Those all. Anytime you hear sergeant, that's a non-commissioned officer. A commissioned officer is first lieutenant, second lieutenant, first lieutenant, second lieutenant, captain, major, lieutenant colonel, colonel, 1 star, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 5. Am I missing anything? Yeah. Full bird. Then you get your 1 star. Yeah. Yeah, plant-based, man. So all the way up to 5. Now I would love if the military had a program where I could be a warrant officer. I'd love that. Heck, I'm not even a fan of going back into the military, but if I went back in with that type of, with that in my back pocket, absolutely, I'd do it. Working in a health field, I'd probably be an inspector or something. And the thing about it is, a warrant officer, you don't have to salute a warrant officer. You still got protein through majority of green plants. I don't know, I just felt weak. I started eating chicken again. Potatoes. Potato salad. Yeah, but anyway, so a warrant officer would be my right where I'd be. Because I don't really care about people saluting me. I don't want to control anybody in the field. I don't want that kind of responsibility. But I like being the go-to guy. And that's what the warrant officer is. That's why they call him chief. Yeah. That's what they call you. And I saw a warrant officer once come into our facility. Only saw him once. And when he came in, everybody had to, officers and NCOs, everybody listened to what he said because they're the ones who make the diets. They are the chief. They're the brains behind the operation. Everybody else, they're the executors. You know what I'm saying? We execute what these guys make up. So I've always admired that. So if you know anybody that's going into the military, African American doctor that said black males are not immune to. Oh no, we're not. Because we're not immune. We're not immune to the coronavirus because most have undertone health issues. Like, oh yeah. Oh no. I would say that we're highly susceptible. One, heart disease. Heart disease is, run rapid. Two, asthma. And the reason why asthma is such a big thing to black people is because of how the ghettos are set up. I lived right next door, like we would literally cross the street, and there's a steel mill right there. That steel mill had to be 3 miles long. That thing was huge. Steel mill right there. We would just go up and talk to the guard. I believe that. We would just run right up and talk to the guard. Now, here's the thing about the steel mill. The steel mill, especially during the winter, when it snowed, the snow would come down black. We'd be all looking at the snow like, this is black snow. You look at the ground, it'd be black snow everywhere. So asthma runs rampant in black communities because of, places like that. And there's been a whole study on it. So we are highly susceptible to death from the coronavirus simply because a lot of us have, asthma. There we have it. And if you compound that with some kind of heart problem, then it just isn't going to take much for your breathing to become sporadic and erratic. And then your heart rate to constantly be just, going through the roof. And then, you're having a fever because that's what it does. It gives you a fever too. At that, it's just those combinations. Well, any one of those things is just terrible for you. But with all three together, yeah, I can understand how people are dying from it. I can understand how 40-year-olds are dying from it 100%. Extenuating circumstances. You're born into, if you're poor, you're born into an area that you're going to have asthma. Your family already has it. It just is what it is. Heck, your grandparents had it. It's a good chance you're going to have it. If somebody did a study on that, because it's just like your grandparents, back in the 40s, right? 40s, 50s. Health back then was terrible because of the industry. The auto industry, the booming auto industry, working condition, asbestos. Give me a break. Asbestos was killing people left and right. Slowly, but it's killing you. And if you come from that and then you have a child, then you have the steel mills because of the wars. So Pittsburgh Steel was right next door to us, So your child is born to that, and then you have us. They're just if you're poor, and I don't mean just black. If you're any nationality and poor, you lived in these areas where black snow could fall down on you, and it's going right into your lungs. You're not running around with a mask. You're just running around. You're like a lab rat. So you can try to sue the steel mills, but it's not their fault. They needed the steel for the wars. And when all the wars stopped, now what do they need the steel for? $560 billion goes to the U.S. military. Billion. Who are they going to fight? They're just waiting for an alien to come out of Pacific Rim. They just need. Who are you going to fight? You're picking fights with people who are smaller than you. Like, you got all these weapons. You got to fight. I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and go, guys. I got to prepare for this client. Get her right. Take some allergy medicine. God loves you, and so do I. Peace.